Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 18 of the anime series Shokugeki no Soma. And this episode was really all kinds of badass, and pretty much played out exactly how you might expect, with Soma effectively handing this pompous, egotistical, egomaniacal Mizuya her ass, her karage-laden ass, and bringing back shopping and money, effectively to the Sumire shopping district, which his restaurant is situated in. And, by the end of this, he wins over Mito in a fashion. He wins over, this chick Mayu and everything like that. And it's just really freaking awesome. Without getting into all the logistics of, the recipe of what he concocts, this version of the karage, it's effectively a wrap by the end of it, and they put all these different aspects into it. But we're seeing, coming to the fore, Soma is not just be filled with this prowess of being a master culinary artist. He's not just a fantastic cook. On the face of things, that's his chief skill, but what we're seeing is he's a strategist, and he's a sort of business-minded person, much more than he has thus far showed or contributed to any event. It's all been about his cooking prowess and what he brings to the table, very literally, in his concoctions and in these challenges at Totsuki and everything. But as I say, coming to the fore, we have a master tactician and business mind that Soma puts forth. And it's not all of his own doing. He has Mito there with the providing the thigh meat rather than the breast meat, which they were going to use originally. You have Mayu there, who is very much doing some of the logistical things as far as, creating the carton that they're going to be pimping out this karage wrap or the Sumire mark karage in for passers-by, for shoppers and such like that. And the idea is to utilize the crowds that are going to work, coming home from work, going to school, coming home from school, and really utilizing the battleground, if you will. There was some talk in Arslan Senki about this idea of using the ground, using the familiarity you have with the battleground, with where it's going to be set and everything like that. And that's very much coming to the fore in Soma's idea, and he's had these other little aspects that are sort of fueling his broadening range of how he's going to go on the attack to this Mizuya chain. Even the chairman guy, he comes in with the little rice ball thing, and they're like, well, this you can actually get everywhere, but that's the fuel to the fire that Soma uses to create this rice sort of wrap hybrid, and it's just fantastic. Mayu, of course, inspired the idea of looking at who's going to be passing through this shopping district, when they're going to be, in the previous episode, and that's kind of where we left off, with Soma having this realization, this is the time of day to do it. This is the crowd we want to, draw in, and that's what was the most fantastic thing about it. But again, seeing Soma using all these different things, he was like a business leader in a sense, a boss looking over a conglomerate, because he knows enough to listen to the people surrounding him, and then he formulates this, plan of attack that cherry picks the best of all those suggestions and puts them together, and the business just starts raking in. It's like 2-3 days, whatever it is. And he comes up with this plan literally overnight. He gets the cartons made, they get the announcements made, they get all this stuff. The the meat that they're going to need at the butchers and everything, it's all done within the span of a single night. And they're ready to roll out by the next day, and you have this Mizuya just watching her percentages go down and down and down, 20% in the first day or the first 2 days. And she doesn't listen to her sort of right-hand woman, her secretary's emails and everything like that. As long as things are working for her, we see the chief aspect of her pomposity is she paid this guy back at Totsuki, one of the Elite 10, as we were led to believe. We finally have a name to put to the face, but she feels that she doesn't need this person's consultations anymore. They have the recipe, they have the location, it's just sit back on your ass and rake in the dough. They don't need this guy, they don't need to pay him for any more information. And so that's the level of pomposity she has been sort of, leveled up to, in a sense, and she's going to just bite the bullet as a result. She herself kind of forced to taste this sumir market karage in the end, and she can only but bow to its masterful representation, this idea, this concept of it being the karage of youth, because it most utilizes the people going back and forth from school, that aspect of being on your feet, and even though you may be going home, you know, at the end of a long day, you may need to do shopping. You may want to eat something small, an appetizer on the run. Maybe it'll be a sort of mini meal, whatever it is. Whether you're working parents on the way home, whether you're students coming home from school, all this kind of stuff. It's just chief amongst that whole plan of action, and she has to bow to it. And it's just, you know, eating her just desserts in a sense, eating crow by the end of the episode. And of course, we're left off with the vacation coming to a close. I really freaking loved the fact that Soma asked Mayu effectively to continue to help the Chamaran guy with his bento, you know, restaurant, whatever it is, his little eatery, and keep this going, keep the production of the Sumir Makarage going, and keep the business flowing. And he'll come back from time to time, because effectively, like we saw, one of the most standout aspects of her character was how relatable she is, and sometimes we feel anonymous, sometimes we feel faceless, like nobody can see the potential within which we have for ourselves and all that kind of stuff. And will we ever be noticed? Will the person we like notice us and all that? And very effectively is she just, I mean, they champion her character because she has been noticed by Soma in the end. This person she puts so much stock in, how special he is, and she feels like she has nothing to offer. But it's her diligence. It's her, you know, keeping at the task and keeping responsibility at the utmost, the foremost of her every action, that has so impressed him. While he's kind of like wild in his own right, here she is a sort of taskmaster, and she, you know, is willing to do the work that's necessary. And he realizes, if I'm leaving, if I'm going back to Totsuki, there's no better person to put forth and keep in control of this whole outfit, the way it's set up, the production of these, you know, karage snacks and everything like that, and keep the business flowing. And I love that, because there was validation on her part from Soma, this person she so looked up to. I was elated as much as the character was, that she was such, in a way, validated. And then, of course, there's just the comedic aspect of Mito has also been impressed in working with Soma. She actually admits to herself, well, he's not so bad after all. And I like that. I like the pairing up of those two, because you wouldn't have expected that at all. Even in the idea of like Erina and Soma, I don't see those two ever coming together in any way, shape, or form, without it being very begrudgingly. And yet we have the Mito character, who's much more standout to me than Erina anyway, just because of her personality. She's not, while she is full of herself in the sense that she takes, you know, sort of the appropriate and somewhat long-winded as well, viewpoint of her own talents. You know, she is a little pompous, but she's not so much so that she can't learn the lesson. She's not going to be beaten by Soma and not come to think about it and realize, well, this is where I went wrong. This is where my perspective was wrong. Whereas Erina, she will just always, you can hand her ass 9 times out of 10, and she's going to walk away from it thinking, you know, basically that she can still do no wrong. She doesn't learn the lesson. She keeps walking into the field of fire. Granted, she's had pretty much a, you know, zero loss her entire life, so that's why the chip on her shoulder exists to begin with. But I like that Mito, that chip has kind of been removed a little bit. While she still is adversarial, playfully so, with Soma and everything, and there is that sort of antagonistic relationship between them, it's softening, and I love that. Again, I like those two characters working together. And so with Soma going back to Totsuki, he's basically sort of gangbanged by all these guys who are like, you're coming with us, man. And they bring him to this 9th seat of the Elite 10. Eizen Atsuya, who is also known as the Alchemist. And it's interesting because he denies even being a chef. He denies being a cook, and that seems to widen the gamut, if that is true. If he's not actually doing cooking, and he didn't actually do cooking, I'm assuming he's got to have some cooking skill behind him to even be in Totsuki Academy, to be one of the Elite 10. But he is kind of in the position, self-elected or otherwise, of being sort of a boss, an overseer, where he is going to command and dictate, and he's been consulting for years, he tells Soma, and ruining businesses that just aren't skilled enough, just do not meet his level of artistic culinary mastery or whatever, you know. And that Soma has been chosen for the autumn elections, and hell is only just beginning. Basically, by taking on Mizuya, you know, Soma has opened for himself a whole new can of worms. It's going to be a whole new aspect of hell from his, you know, from this moment forward, from this waking moment. And that, to me, is intriguing because it's like, who else are we going to see thrown up against him and everything? It just is an exciting prospect because, as I talked about in a previous episode discussion video, I'm still wondering every step of the way, is there going to be some kind of closure? Are we going to see Soma actually achieve his goals? I have heard some talk that the manga arc and everything, this series may not even be able to sort of round itself out with telling the whole story, because I think it's still ongoing. I don't read the manga, so I don't know, to avoid spoilers and such like that. But I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 18 of Shokugeki no Soma, if you've seen it. Did you feel it was predictable? Were you still well happy and left surprised by how things worked out? If you're a manga reader, without posting any spoilers, let me know what you thought of the adaptation. I know they kind of reconfigured, this was supposed to be like a side shoot story, and they put it after, you know, Joichiro, Soma's father, returned, whereas in the manga, I'm led to believe that this happened before he returned. And so, you know, let me know what you think of the adaptation, and if it's been on par with your expectations, if it was lacking in any way, and, you know, if you didn't like it, let me know why not in the comments, essentially. I love having the conversation with you guys. So, otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. I can't wait to see what the next episode, you know, has in store for us, and yeah, I'll catch you all later. Peace.